Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I am pleased to report that I was approved by Social Security Disability. And so I feel like that feeling that you get when you worked really hard all year on a project for work and you get a bonus in the end and a big fat raise. That's what I feel like. The reality of it is that I'm going to be getting the same amount of money as I was getting for my disability insurance. But from what I had heard, like 80% of people who apply for Social Security disability are disapproved. I don't know why that is, and I don't want to suspect why that is, but all I can be is totally grateful that that my hard work paid off and that I feel like I'm one step closer to living, to just breathe and accept and figure out like, okay, what now am I going to do in my life? Because I had been so focused on, and it's always going to be, my recovery is always going to be the priority. Um, but I felt like I was holding my breath for the past year. I have felt like I was holding my breath. Yes, it's been 3 years since my stroke. Um, it's been different feelings. But this past year's definitely been like holding my breath and just wondering like what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me? So I'm really grateful that you all come here and listen because you play a gigantic role in giving me the drive to keep going whenever I see the numbers. And I'm not just saying that, like I check before I record every night. I check and see like if the numbers are going up or down. And they're pretty just consistent. I mean, they're growing slowly, but there are some of you loyal listeners that I just can't thank you enough for being my friend. For being my friend. I want to send a gift to all of the loyal listeners, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to do about that, but know that it's in my mind. Like I just want to thank you for what you give me. It's not apparent to you, but it is one of the biggest gifts that I've been given the past year. So thank you so much. And I'll stop droning on and on about that. Today I wanted to talk about self-pity and confidence. And so my morning meeting was about self-pity. And I was thinking about there's a fine line between self-pity and depression, and then confidence and being overconfident and being really a selfish bitch is kind of what I was calling it this morning in my meeting. But what is the medium? What's the space between self-pity and confidence? And how do we navigate that delicate balance between the two? I think that is where humility is. And it's not a space that I've ever played in. I was either feeling sorry for myself or building myself up so that I could be confident, so that I could be brave and strong and keep my chin up. So my chin was either uh, doubled because I'm so looking down, or it's up in the air, pushing my nose up as high as it can go. And this area of humility just hasn't been a comfortable, well-known area for me. So I wanted to talk about that. So when I think about confidence, it's that word is, I think, has a positive spin for me. When I hear the word confident, I think it's a good thing. It has value in our lives. Like we want to be confident. When I was working, I dressed up a lot. You could ask anybody that I worked with in any job all the way back to the beginning. Maybe not my first job out of college. I did not dress up for that one. But I was trying to dress down as much as possible. But after that, the two couple jobs after that, where I had an office that I was going into, I was usually one of the most dressed up people there. And the reason why I did that is, one, I loved getting dressed up. I love playing dress up. And two, it made me feel confident. It made me feel like I was able to do the job. Um, but as much as confidence helped to propel me forward and helped me to be courageous enough to do public speaking and believe in my abilities and take these risks that I wouldn't have taken if I was showing up to work in I don't know, yoga pants and a long button down. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I would hate to be naming an outfit that you're wearing right now. So I'm sorry. I have on sweat pajama pants. So we're good. We're even. Um, okay, but too much confidence can alter our behavior negatively, leading to arrogance and selfishness. And then back when I was drinking, adding drinking to the mix, um, I then would become somebody that I would have never been friends with, much less want to look in. I was a selfish bitch. That's the best way I can say it. I would talk about people, and it wasn't because I was a mean person or unkind. Like wake up in the morning and I'm the most insecure person in the world, but put drinks in me. And I just think that what do we say back in the day? My shit don't stink. I think that's what we used to say. And I would just prioritize what I wanted to do over everything. I mean, I was not an angry drunk, but I certainly was confident enough in what I was saying, and I don't like to be wrong still, that I could get in arguments with people. And I have been in situations where I was more aggressive than I would have ever been had I not been drinking. And that is the ugly side of confidence to me. And then self-pity, on the other hand, is completely different. When I first encountered step 4 of the AA program, it felt to me like I was just gonna be swimming in self-pity. And I was already feeling self-pity. I already felt like the dirt on the bottom of people's shoe because I ended up, right? I ended up in AA. Yeah. Nobody wants to end up in AA. But really, what step four was doing, I'm looking at who am I pissed off at? This is how I translate step four. Who am I pissed off at? And what was my role in that relationship? And it's like, well, yeah, it's going to be exciting to look at who I'm pissed off at. And there's that confidence, building up. And then it's all of a sudden, okay, now what was your role in it? What was your role in the relationship? And you're like, wait a minute, wait. I didn't sign up for that. And then it feels like self-pity. Because now all of a sudden we have to look at things that we don't want to look at, that we never looked at. But really, it's not self-pity. It was introducing. Step four is introducing, pruning me for humility, to learn how to be humble. So self-pity, when I was drinking, that combination was killing me. Um, Slowly killing me. I was slowly committing suicide because I just wanted to self-destruct. It was clouding my judgment. It made me not care about my health, my well-being. I made bad decisions. And the more I drank, the more self-pity I felt. And that self-pity um, bloomed into a depression, quicksand of depression. And I could not get out of it. I was stuck in destructive patterns and destructive behavior. So humility is the space in between those. And humility is number one, I can't feel humidity. I can feel humidity. I felt humidity today. Humility, I cannot feel if I am drinking. Humility is what allows us to look at our true selves without the distortions, without excessive pride or overwhelming sunken self-pity. Humility means looking at ourselves, looking in the mirror, not looking away, looking at our flaws and working on them. We're not just saying, okay, what was my role in this relationship? Okay, there, I did it. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to look at it, I'm going to write it down, and then I'm actually going to talk to somebody about it. I'm going to talk to somebody who knows what it's like to have the disease of alcoholism and a lot of these self-destructive behaviors that often come with alcoholism. And that is where we start being introduced to humility. I could not find humility if I didn't have somebody showing me what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. Humility, hearing someone else's humility is like a hands-on training. And it helped me to identify my character defects because I get to sit and listen to somebody who's willing to share their character defects with me. And when I'm able to say, me too, I feel that I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Then I start understanding the impact of my actions. And even without drinking, I can sometimes fall back into old behaviors. I can sometimes go on either end of the spectrum. I can start feeling self-pity, and I can start feeling way more confident than I should be. And that's why I practice my sobriety program in all of my affairs and make step 10 a habit, because step 10 is where I, on a daily basis, look at those relationships and identify, think through, where was I selfish? Where was I angry? Where did my old behaviors come out? Do I owe anybody an apology? And by practicing that stuff, continuous self-assessment and being willing to correct my course as needed, it has this ripple effect, and it fosters a positive change inside me that brings me back into that space of humility. It pulls me away from whichever whichever bumper of the bowling lane I was getting ready to hit. It pulls me back into the center. One of the lessons that I learned early on in the beginning, right away, was action, the importance of action. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, just doing a step 4 and writing this stuff down is not going to have the same impact as talking to somebody about what you wrote down. I have to have that interaction in order to be able to look at myself. I have to be able to hear what other people are saying in order to compare, in order to relate, in order to even see the things that I didn't know were there. This is humility in action for me. It's and it's not just getting what other people are saying, but it's also giving away what I have, without expecting anything in return. That's where the action is, because as much as I received from other people so that I could learn what humility is, I need to help other people learn what it is, and not with this confidence that talks down to people. It's like, this is what I have. This has been my experiences. These have been my mistakes, and they're a part of my journey. I've learned that doing something and making a mistake is better than doing nothing at all. And that's what I used to do, or not do, is nothing at all, because I was afraid to make a mistake. I was afraid to make a mistake because I would either get depressed and feel shitty about myself, or I would be overly confident. I would be overly confident and be like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. And I had so many situations when I was working where that confidence it's really embarrassing when I think about that overconfidence that I get, and I still get it sometimes. I believe I get it far less than I used to, but I remember feeling that overconfidence, and it was not healthy for my relationships when I was presenting myself as if I was better than somebody else in some way. And it could be in a ridiculous way that I'm better. And I felt like I was doing it to boost myself, because I was so vulnerable to self-pity. I would boost myself to keep me out of self-pity. But I boosted myself so far that I threw myself into the other side of the spectrum and being overconfident and not kind to other people. And I can be not kind to other people by just looking at them the wrong way. And I've done that a lot in my life as well. You know, I'm painting myself to sound like I'm a terrible person. I'm not. I'm not, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on inside of me that and you know, that go on in all of us that we don't talk about. And that's what I'm here to do, is talk about it. Because I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. And maybe if it doesn't apply to you, it may apply to your next door neighbor, you know. It's worth talking about it if it's happening with me, or it has in the past. I'm not unique. I know that. So this mindset of not being afraid to make a mistake, doing something and making a mistake is better than doing nothing at all, allows me to grow and learn. When I was drinking, I did nothing at all and I did not grow. I did not grow for many, many years. And it is very apparent when I stopped drinking that I was still the same age as I was when I started drinking. I had a lot to learn about being an adult and taking care of myself, being kind to others, all of that basic stuff that people just learn when they are not covering their insecurities and fears with alcohol. So I know today it's okay to stumble, as long as I get back up and I don't drink and I keep moving forward. I heard something that somebody said today in one of my meetings was there's no elevator in sobriety. We have to work the steps. And that really resonated with me. I've heard it before. That's not the first time I've heard it, but today it struck me a little differently than it normally does. And that's because I think I'm working so hard every day. Um, and I'm dedicating every day of my life to recovery. Every day of my life is dedicated to recovery from alcoholism, stroke recovery, vestibular rehabilitation, mental wellness, and that's just my own. And then I share it. And because I can see today that I do it every day, this this saying about there's not an elevator really shows that we have to take one day at a time. We have to take one step at a time. There's just no fast track. There's no fast track to grow up when you haven't grown in years. Um, that's been my experience. And I have to actively engage every day with the steps. And over time, it becomes habit. Each one of them is a building block for the next. It's important to not skip ahead. And it helps us to develop resilience and that humility. It just feels like it's, shining the floor in the area between self-pity and confidence. It's shining the floor and making it nice and clean, a space for you to dance in humility. So finding that space is an ongoing process. I don't believe that I walk onto the dance floor of humility and I just get to dance all night into the next day like Cinderella. Like I end up somehow something happens, the clock strikes midnight, and all of a sudden I'm either thrown into self-pity or thrown into confidence. And I have to redevelop that balance again. And the way that I do that is by practicing the steps of my program, engaging in self-assessment, taking action, talking to other people about what is inside of me. This is how I stay sober and sane and happy. Even on days that I'm not happy, I still have to talk. I still have to talk because that's my opportunity to get happy tomorrow. If I talk today about what's wrong, then tomorrow I get to be happy again, hopefully, but it will come. Everything is okay, and it will continue to be okay as long as I don't pick up a drink. And I can navigate this delicate space with grace, and forgive myself when maybe I trip and fall. It's not about perfection, it's progress. And I can do it one day at a time, one step at a time, and just smile and take it easy, be gentle with myself. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Recovery Daily podcast. I will talk to you tomorrow.